Hi guys, welcome back to our channel where we bring you the most amazing stories. Before we begin our story today, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new story. Also, let us know in the comments where you are watching this story from and what time you found this video. Let's begin our story. It was a floating metropolis that carved a calm route through the inky darkness of the Indian Ocean. And the MS Celestial Odyssey was a leviathan of light and splendor. While they were blissfully ignorant that their world of soft linen and softer laughter was sailing straight into a waking nightmare, 1,000 people were living a dream on its decks. They were dreaming of champagne flutes and symphonic music. While standing on the bridge, Captain Elias Vance observed the horizon, not with the eyes of a navigator, but with the haunting gaze of a historian. The official charts indicated that the seas were safe and clean. On the other hand, Vance's personal tablet flashed with a different map. This map was covered with old trade routes, monsoon patterns from the 17th century, and the digital ghosts of ships that had disappeared without a trace. He referred to this area, which was deemed to be secure by the government, as the map behind the map. The waters pirated. An unobtrusive and blinking light appeared on the radar as the first warning. There is a cluster of little connections that are moving quickly and are emerging from the shadow of a forgotten atoll. They are gathering with a terrible intent. It was a voice that was devoid of any marine etiquette. It was harsh, pointed, and loaded with danger. The radio began to crackle with the sound of the voice. "This is your new management, Celestial Odyssey," the speaker said. "Put an end to your cars. Prepare yourselves to be boarded. If there is any opposition, we will immediately respond with force." Fear, which was icy and unadulterated, inundated the bridge. They rushed for the satellite phone, their fingers shaking as they attempted to call the number of the closest naval authority, which was located hundreds of miles away. Both of them had already passed away in the sea. Within minutes, the skiffs belonging to the pirates would come alongside. On the other hand, Captain Vance did not shake. It was not the phone that he reached for. On the contrary, a peculiar calmness descended over him. His eyes darted from the contemporary radar screen to a yellowed sheet that was shown on his tablet. It was a drawing from the log of a Dutch East India Company merchant ship that had been sailing around the year 1641. It was a deep rumble that he used to say helm, and it was free of fear, but full of resolve. "Hard to the starboard side. Take us to the point where we are bearing 270, as the helmsman stutteringly said. "Captain, we are already in the direction of them and have entered the reef system. According to the charts." "The charts are wrong!" Vance exploded violently, his dominance unquestionable. "The reef that people are familiar with is not the proper reef. Now is the time to do it. Each and every engine full speed forward on my target." The enormous vessel moaned, its inertia having a hard time responding to the rapid demand. Pirates in the skiffs rejoiced, mistaking the move for a botched effort to escape. They were on the contrary. With their silhouettes clearly apparent in the ship's lighting, they closed the distance between themselves and the enemy. They were men armed with Kalashnikovs and grapnels, their eyes glued on the most valuable treasure of their life. He paid them no attention. Every aspect of his life revolved around the point where time and water met. As he counted in his thoughts, he envisioned the seabed not as it appeared on contemporary sonar, but as it had been described by a Dutch captain who had passed away a long time ago in a description that was shaky and filled with terror. He yelled out in a resounding, "Mark! Full stern, all engines operating!" Right now, and someone, turn off each and every light on this vessel. I mean each and every one of them, including the darned emergency exits, the bridge, the navigation, and the cabins. Float us down. There was a period of time when the whole globe was completely dark. An instantaneous extinguishment occurred for the Celestial Odyssey, which was a galaxy of light. The symphony of laughing and music was replaced by the loud boom of engines reversing, and the terrifying cry of 1,000 passengers who were suddenly thrown into complete darkness. Even though they were just a few hundred meters away, the pirates were blinded. Their night vision goggles were rendered unusable as a result of the abrupt absence of light in the location where formerly there had been a beacon of light. Confusion caused them to squint. It wasn't simply that the ship was coming to a halt. It was really backing into a cemetery of coral. Vance, on the other hand, was not backing into the reef. He was approaching a legendary figure. At the same time as the ship's strong propellers were bringing the water to a raging boil, an extraordinary phenomenon started to take place. There was a radiance that emanated from the wake behind the Celestial Odyssey. On the contrary, with an ethereal and electrifying blue rather than with reflected light. The disturbance of the water caused a gigantic bloom of bioluminescent algae, a phenomena that is so uncommon that it is not even mentioned in contemporary guidebook. On the other hand, the devil's breath was the most important aspect of the Dutch captain's story, since it was the thing that had rescued him. A waterfall of sapphire liquid emerged from the depths of the ocean. As a result of the presence of such ethereal and primordial light, the cruise ship's silhouette underwent a transformation. Its stark, towering hull, which was now devoid of any warm human light, seemed to be the jagged, decaying ribs of a massive disaster. In the depths of the abyss, the roaring of the engines reverberated like the moans of a beast that was about to die. In the eyes of the superstitious pirates, who still told their children stories about ancient sea spirits, the illusion was flawless. Suddenly, the glittering metropolis of prosperity was disappeared. It was replaced by a ship of the demons, which emerged from the water as it boiled and glowed. It is a ghost. A calamity? It was as if their shouts had died in their throats. The lead skiff made such a dramatic turn that it almost capsized. They pleaded with Allah to protect them from jinns and other old horrors by crossing themselves and shouting prayers to him. On the radio, which had been packed with threats, there was now a crackling sound that was composed entirely of utter horror. They were no longer staring at a reward. Rather, they were looking at a sign that would bring about their demise. As swiftly as they had emerged, they broke formation and ran back into the darkness, their engines whimpering in terror as they went. While standing on the bridge of the Celestial Odyssey, a young officer said, They're running." The strain in Captain Vance's shoulders slowly dissipated as he finally let out a breath. He issued the command to bring the electricity back on. The ship's lights turned back on slowly and softly, the music restarted, and the sound of bewildered, then relieved talk began to trickle up from the decks below. All of these things occurred simultaneously. They were never going to be aware of how close they had come. After some time had passed, as the vessel was moving forward at full speed into the safe seas, his first officer posed the question that was on everyone's mind. "Captain, how did you know?" Vance glanced out at the ocean, which was once again quiet and dark for him to observe. This was referred to as de duivel Sodom, which literally translates to the devil's breath. A sudden storm was employed by him to conceal his ship in a similar bloom, and he let the superstition of his pursuers to do the rest of the maneuvering. His tablet was tapped by him. Satellites and automatic weaponry are in the possession of the pirates. Nevertheless, they also have the tales that their grandfathers told them. The pirates that they are now were not the ones I fought. I confronted the pirates that they continue to have faith in. There was no weapon that he had used to rescue the ship. He was able to preserve it by telling a tale. And by doing so, Captain Elias Vance demonstrated that the deepest seas are not on any map, but rather in the human mind, and that the most formidable armor often consists of nothing more than a forgotten page and the guts to relearn it. And that's our story for today. What did you think of today's story? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, thank you for watching.